you should make an effort every day to at least once get outside, get the fresh air. Even in inclement weather, if it's cold outside, it gets very cold and dark up here in New England, but you should take the time to get outside and just look at something natural, a natural landscape. Maybe you're looking at mounds of snow, or you're looking at some nice trees and grass. Getting to a park is excellent for your health in many ways. And I wanted to talk about this because I've worked at a number of different corporate settings in professional office working environments here in the USA in 2026 and years prior. And what I would see all the time is people would come in and essentially be tethered to your desk chair or your cubicle or whatever it may be for essentially the entire day. And I was working in an office which was a large building, so there was a lot of space to move around, but there was generally an older population working there, and I noticed people would walk extremely slowly, to the point where it was very noticeable. And I think that's kind of an indicator of your overall health, and, for a lot of people is the pace of your walking and kind of your habits built around movement. Obviously, there's a lot of kind of platitudes about, movement being medicine and good for you, and it is. So movement is great, but also if you can do movement outside, you're going to be stimulated by a more natural environment. You're going to get the smells, you're going to get the sights, you're going to get the feeling of natural terrain, of fresh air that's not just been filtered through your office building. So there's obviously a lot of advantages that come with movement and moving outside. That's why it's a great reason every single day to go outside. I know I've had days where maybe it's raining all day and it's cold, maybe you're sick, but in general, you want to make that effort to go outside and to get near nature. So when thinking about where you're going to work, where you're going to live, it's really important if you have access to some kind of parks maybe, or just some kind of nature outside. That's something I didn't really fully understand when I was younger, but proximity to parks and green spaces is huge for your health and well-being. I was living in Boston for 4 years, and when I was working there, I was working at a bank for a period of time, and I would take lunch maybe 30 minutes or so and just kind of sit around and talk with a couple people while eating, but I didn't move at all essentially, other than maybe walking a flight or two of stairs to get to the lunchroom. But that's not really a healthy routine or habit to set up for your lunchtime. Ideally, what you would want to do is maybe eat and then spend 10 or more minutes walking and going outside and helping your food digest and getting that movement and that mental reset. So that's something I really wish I had known earlier in my life and could have potentially put that more into practice. But it's also not practical for everyone to do that. Obviously, it's dependent on your circumstances. But if you can, you really want to fit in some movement into your day. Because if you're working a 9 to 5, your prime hours for your focus and your energy and your alertness are going to be spent at work. And you're really only left with maybe a handful of hours before you go in or after you come home to do much of anything other than perhaps get ready for the next day. It's not a very human-focused system, and it is very frustrating, but unfortunately, it's the reality for a lot of people. So being mindful of how you can squeeze in that extra movement and that time outside during that period for people who are working in an office or who aren't really able to get much air, anything you can do to kind of squeeze that in is going to be really good for your health. And if you're on days off, just trying to get that movement in is really needed. And I keep hammering this point, but it's clear that we're not really succeeding in this as a country at large, because if you look at the data about physical activity of Americans, we're not really active. We're very sedentary, and this can lead to a multitude of health problems, not only obesity and type 2 diabetes and many diseases, but also mental issues as well. So getting the social time and getting the time spent outside moving is going to be something that's really paramount for your health and well-being, and your health and well-being as well as those for other people. So if you can encourage to other people as well to get outside and move, it's something that's really great, because you can socialize and you can get that time outside, and there simply are not enough people doing this. But it's really something that should be built in more naturally, so you don't have to go out of your way to live somewhat of a natural, healthy lifestyle. Unfortunately, though, I'm recording this, it's August 2026 in the United States of America, and it's really not the case here. You honestly, in many cases, you have to go out of your way if you want to lead any kind of a healthy lifestyle at all that doesn't involve just sitting as if you're a corpse for about 8 hours of the day, which is mind-boggling that we're still doing this. But there seems not to be many changes coming very quickly. So raising awareness about the importance of movement, the importance of getting outside, of socializing with people, I think is something that needs to be done. Because if you're, maybe you're getting home and watching the TV and you're going to be bombarded with advertisements about, oh, take this GLP-1, take this medication for $99 a month, and you can exist in a weight that isn't going to kill you before we can exploit you even further. It's just not a good solution. We really should have a better system that allows people to breathe more and do natural activities, but we don't. So given the circumstances we have right now, we really have to do the best with what we've got, which means taking time to get outside, get near nature, and move your body, socialize, and be a human being, which is seemingly getting increasingly more difficult as time goes on. That's kind of the report for today. Get near nature if you can, talk with people, be a human being, and let's not allow things like artificial intelligence, robots, and algorithms to completely take over our lives. Let's practice being human. That's the point that I wanted to make here.